On Delta TV Main News tonight, Governor Sheriff Oborevwori urges APC members to mobilize massively for President Bola Tinubu ahead of presidential primary election. Federal High Court nullifies Independent National Electoral Commission timeline for conduct of party primaries. State government commences disbursement of 2025 scholarship awards. And abroad, Ghana government delays evacuation of more than 800 citizens from South Africa. Good evening and welcome to Delta Television Main News. I am Blessing Usiagbada. You can also follow our news online on Facebook and YouTube at Delta Broadcasting Service Asaba, or visit our website at www.dbsasaba.com. Now the news in detail. The presidency has dismissed as false reports alleging that President Bola Tinubu plans to amend the constitution to rename Nigeria as the United States of Nigeria and abolish Sharia law in the north. In a statement issued by presidential spokesperson Bayo Onanuga, the report was described as fake, politically motivated, and aimed at creating tension ahead of the 2027 general elections. The presidency denied claims that President Tinubu intends to forward any bill, codenamed Project True Federation, to the National Assembly, insisting that constitutional amendment cannot be carried out arbitrarily. According to Onanuga, any amendment to the Constitution requires approval by 2/3 of members of the National Assembly and endorsement by at least 24 state houses of assembly. The presidency stated that President Tinubu remains focused on implementing economic reforms and urged Nigerians to disregard divisive and misleading reports capable of overheating the polity ahead of the elections. Governor Sheriff Oborevwori has urged members of the All Progressive Congress APC in the state to mobilize massively for President Bola Tinubu in tomorrow's presidential primary election. Governor Oborevwori gave the charge when he paid a visit to the APC founding leader in Delta State, Olusegun Otegha-Enwero, at Ereni, Ugeni North local government area. The governor, who is the coordinator of the APC presidential election primary in the state, expressed confidence that the APC in Delta State would deliver substantial affirmation votes for President Tinubu, noting that the party had over 470,000 registered members across the state. He stressed the need for discipline, loyalty, and respect for party leadership, saying unity and internal order remained essential for the progress of the party. Responding, Olusegun commended Governor Oborevwori for strengthening the APC in the state, assuring him of the commitment of party leaders and members to delivering strong support for President Tinubu. The state deputy governor, Samande Onyeme, says the overwhelming 345,375 votes garnered by the governor as the APC governorship candidate is a clear demonstration of the massive confidence, trust, and unwavering support the people have in his administration. Onyeme stated this in an interview shortly after the declaration of the APC governorship primary elections from the 25 local government areas at the APC State Secretariat, Asaba. Pere Botu has details.
The deputy governor said the massive votes recorded during the APC governorship primary reflected the deep love, overwhelming support, and firm belief of party members in the administration of Governor Sheriff Oborevwori, particularly in view of the landmark development projects spread across the state.
Everybody is happy with our governors. Infrastructure is going on everywhere. Empowerment is going on. The state is getting better and better. Security is getting better and better. Everything is going on well for our state. And that is why overwhelmingly, over 300,000 votes. It's not easy. It's just a direct reflection of what we feel. So Ukodu is coming back for a second tenure, and he will do more than he has even done now.
He expressed optimism that the governor will record even higher victories in the 2027 general elections, considering the unprecedented support and impressive number of votes secured from APC members across the state during the primary election.
If this is just only our members, you can just imagine what the general figure will be in the general election. This is just APC members. And you know that many Deltans are not direct members of APC. They are ordinary people. These are just members of the party who have registered. So I want to believe that the general election, of course, we will quadruple this number by far.
Sir Oyeme described the APC primaries in the state as peaceful, transparent, free and fair, and commended the party for the successful adoption of the Option A4 voting system, which he said had enhanced credibility and openness in the electoral process. Also speaking, the state coordinator of the renewed Hope Ambassadors, the Right Honorable Funke Keme Solomon, said Governor Sheriff Oborowori's emergence as the consensus candidate of the party was a strong vote of confidence in his leadership and performance-driven administration. He said the renewal of the governor's mandate would provide him with the opportunity to consolidate on the numerous developmental projects and people-oriented programs already executed across the state.
We're doing well. He don't change the winning team. He has fulfilled all the promises. He has turned worry. He has brought back the lost glory. He has finished Asaba Ogele liberalization. He's doing flyovers everywhere. So what will anybody say that he has not done that will require to say we shouldn't give him a second term? So it's important. Let them follow who know road. Let them follow the winning theme, and giving him a second term can only make him do more for Deltans.
Right Honorable Solomon also commended President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for the removal of fuel subsidy, noting that the policy had made more funds available for meaningful development in the states and local government councils. Earlier, the chairman of the APC Governorship Primary Committee and returning officer for the state, Mr. Eta Abba Okafor, announced that Governor Sheriff Oborowori, who was the sole candidate of the party, polled a total number of 3 from the 25 government areas presented their results. Pere Botu reporting.
Speaker of the Delta State Assembly, Right Honorable Lemomotimi Dennis Guwa, says Governor Sheriff Oborowori as the performance, adding that the governor's emergence was a reward for what he described as 3 years of impactful governance, visible infrastructural development, and people-oriented policies across Delta State. The Speaker, who also serves as chairman of the Conference of Speakers of State Legislatures of Nigeria, noted that the governor's decision to lead Delta State into the APC has further strengthened political unity and consolidated governance under one political platform. According to him, Governor Oborowori's second term promises greater achievements, stressing that the alignment of political leadership within the APC would enhance smooth implementation of projects and policies without partisan. Right Honorable Guwa called on supporters to sustain the unity of the primaries and intensify grassroots mobilization ahead of the 2027 general elections. He added that has already laid a solid foundation for development, party faithful to protect and build on the progress achieved, noting that Delta is stronger when we speak with one voice. The Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the Delta State Oil Producing Areas Development Commission, the SOPADEC, Chief Festus Ochonogo, has congratulated the state governor, Right Honorable Sheriff Oborowori, for his emergence as the All Progressive Congress governorship candidate for the 2027 general elections. Governor Borowore emerged unopposed at the conclusion of the APC governorship primary election conducted across Delta State. Speaking on behalf of the Commission's Governing and Management Board, Chief Ochonogo described the governor's emergence as a strong endorsement of his leadership style and performance in office. He said the outcome of the primary reflects the confidence and trust reposed in the governor by party members and Deltans across the state, adding that the victory goes beyond politics and represents popular acceptance of the administration's people-oriented policies. Chief Ochonogo also noted that Governor Borowore's continued support for the SOPADEC has strengthened infrastructural and human capital development in oil-producing communities across the state. According to him, the governor's commitment to ensuring that the commission delivers on its mandate has helped to build goodwill and grassroots support ahead of the 2027 elections. The SOPADEC boss called on APC stakeholders and Deltans, irrespective of political affiliation, to rally behind the governor in support of his vision for inclusive growth, equitable development, and sustainable progress across Delta State. He further commended party leaders and delegates for what he described as a peaceful, transparent, and orderly primary election process, noting that it demonstrates democratic maturity within the party. The All Progressives Congress APC Appeal Committee on Governorship and House of Assembly primaries in Delta State has assured aggrieved aspirants of fairness, transparency, and justice in handling petitions arising from the exercise. Chairman of the committee, Honorable Timothy Ama, who gave the assurance while briefing newsmen at the APC Secretariat in Asaba, said the panel was in the state on the directive of the party's national leadership to review complaints from the recently concluded primaries. Honorable Amal noted that the committee had operated in a peaceful atmosphere since its arrival and commended the prevailing security situation in the state. He assured party members that all petitions would be treated strictly on merit and forwarded to the party leadership in Abuja for appropriate action, while urging members to remain peaceful throughout the process. The Delta State chapter of the African Democratic Congress ADC has concluded its primaries for governorship, National Assembly, and State House of Assembly positions ahead of the 2027 general elections. The report.
The consensus primaries held in Asaba were described by party stakeholders as peaceful, with candidates expressing readiness to strengthen the party's electoral fortunes in the states. Dr. Emmanuel Unefe Good Friday emerged as candidate for Patani Bomodi Federal Constituency, while Ferdinand Obaogo secured the ticket for Anyocha Oshimili Federal Constituency alongside other consensus candidates across the states.
People indicated interest for the party has its own guidelines. We have our own party constitution. So many people indicated interest. So when we passed through the processes from those people, then they found out there was only one that was qualified.
Okay. Politics is a fair game. We embrace the culture of fair play, where we need to work together to achieve the common goal. We all want change. We all want to improve the living condition of people.
We are going to be having primary general elections that will be good and credible and free and fair, and at the end of the day we'll emerge winners.
It's a chance for us to come together, build and arise just as that.
Speaking after the exercise, the ADC state chairman, Mr. Austin Okolie, commended members for their discipline and participation, describing the primaries as a major step towards repositioning the party ahead of the 2027 elections.
We appreciate God that we have been able to do the primary successfully without rancor. We did it unanimously. It was a mode of consensus because ADC is a disciplined party, it's a party of high integrity, it's a party of due process.
He urged candidates and stakeholders to remain united and intensify grassroots mobilization for electoral success.
The Accord Party in Delta North has officially unveiled Mr. Henry Ofili, an engineer, as its aspirant for the Anyocha Oshimili Federal Constituency seat and the House of Representatives ahead of the 2027 general elections. The unveiling took place during the Accord Delta North stakeholders meeting and declaration ceremony, where party leaders and supporters expressed confidence in the party's growing influence across the region. Henry Usiayo reports.
Thank you very much.
Speaking at the event, the Delta State Chairman of the party, Mr. Fred Obi, said he was proud of the progress the party was making in Delta North, noting that the political movement was steadily gaining acceptance among the people. Mr. Obi urged party faithful and voters not to be swayed in their support for the party, stressing that the Anyocha Oshimili Federal Constituency deserves quality and effective representation by leaders.
Ophilie is an aspirant for the Anyocha Oshimili Federal Constituency. And now, today, we decided to unveil him, sort of, to the people of Anyocha Oshimili Federal Constituency, so that if they, that is the party members within the Anyocha Oshimili Federal Constituency, agrees that he should fly the flag for the federal constituency, then we can go ahead with him.
The Accord Party aspirant for Anyocha Oshimili Federal Constituency, Mr. Henry Ophilie, said he had always envisioned a new generation of leadership emerging to rewrite development and positive change.
My aspiration is actually inspired by looking at the areas of the Anyocha Oshimili and looking at the areas of the youth being inclusive in the leadership of the state. So I'm championing the youth voice in the race, in the Anyocha Oshimili race, and also looking at a way of bringing development, meaningful development to our constituency.
The event drew party members and other stakeholders. Henry Usiayo reporting.
Students of the Department of Agricultural Economics and Extension, Faculty of Agriculture, University of Delta, have embarked on an educational excursion to the Delta Broadcasting Service (DBS) Asaba as part of efforts to deepen their practical understanding of agricultural communication and media processes. Henry Usiayo reports.
The visit exposed the students to key operational units of the station, including the newsroom, studio facilities, master control room, editing suites, radio studio, and transmission section, giving them a first-hand experience of broadcasting operations. Leading the delegation, a lecturer in the department, Dr. Martis Elusaiwe, explained that the excursion was designed to bridge classroom learning with real-world practice, especially in relation to agricultural extension services and information dissemination. He noted that agricultural communication is a key component of modern agriculture, as farmers as stakeholders depend on accurate and timely information for improved productivity, rural development, and policy awareness.
We have a course we are teaching our students, agricultural communication. So right there we are teaching them the communication itself, but the practical, we let them have the practical knowledge, bring them to have the practical knowledge, what it entails, the processes involved. Like we have to go around to from the TV to the radio, the departments, the editing and all that sort, so they get acquainted how communication is being relayed out, so that is why we are doing. Agric itself, we need this media stuff, to propagate our information, to reach out to people. And you don't reach out to people alone. You need the media. You need this, the forum to reach out to people. So with this, with your media house, we're going to do that, to reach out, to pass information to when we have innovations. When we have innovations, we have to reach out to the farmers, reach out to the rural people. This is what is in place, and they can adopt.
Some of the students expressed appreciation to the university management and the department for organizing the excursion, describing it as enlightening and impactful. They said the visit improved their understanding of how media platforms can be used to promote agricultural innovations, climate information, and market opportunities, while also inspiring some of them to consider careers in agricultural journalism and extension communication, thanking the management of DBS Asaba for the opportunity.
I'm very happy to be here today. At least we as students have gained a lot of knowledge towards communication in agriculture. And our core purpose as agricultural students and future agricultural extensionists is to disseminate information from the research institute, the government, to the rural populace, that's people in the rural area. So our major aim is to learn how to communicate properly.
It's an opportunity, a big opportunity for us to be here, for us to see how information are being passed through various means, through the radio, through the television. So we are very grateful for this excursion.
Henry Usiayo reporting.
A federal high court in Abuja has nullified the timeline issued by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, for the conduct of party primaries and nomination of candidates ahead of the 2027 general elections. Delivering judgment, Justice Muhammad Umar held that INEC's timetable was inconsistent with provisions of the Electoral Act 2026, particularly sections relating to the submission, withdrawal, and substitution of candidates. The court also set aside INEC's May 10 deadline for political parties to submit their membership registers and databases as a condition for participation in the elections. The suit was filed by the Youth Party, which argued that INEC lacked the powers to shorten statutory timelines provided by the Electoral Act. Justice Umar ruled that political parties are entitled to submit candidates' particulars up to 120 days before elections, while candidate substitution remains valid up to 90 days before polls, as stipulated by law. INEC had earlier directed all political parties to submit their membership registers before the deadline, a directive with which all 22 registered parties reportedly complied. You're watching Delta TV Main News. Still to come, Ghana government delays evacuation of more than 800 citizens from South Africa. Details of this story and many more will come after the short break. Please stay tuned.
Hooray! Another May 27 is here. A day set to celebrate. This is the DBS Asaba Youth and Children's Day Cultural Carnival 2026 theme. Cultural art workshop session for parents and tie and dye. Cultural dance competition. Nigerian food. Nigerian language knowledge. Asaba is calling on event. That's not all. The brochure for the event will serve as a vehicle for warm felicitations for our children, as well as platform for business owners to advertise their goods and services. For schools participation and sponsorship, please visit the marketing department or call 0803 326 6801. Maureen on 0803 778 1910. Date Wednesday, 27th May 2026. Venue DBS Event Place, Opanam Road, Asaba. Time 9 a.m. DBS Asaba Youth and Children's Day Cultural Carnival 2026. Let's meet there.
Welcome back and thank you so much for staying tuned to Delta TV Main News. Now let's bring you reports on happenings around the world. Ghana said it has delayed the evacuation of more than 800 of its citizens from South Africa after a viral video showing the alleged assault of a Ghanaian man triggered outrage. The footage showing the attack on Emmanuel Asamoah, a Ghanaian living in South Africa, circulated widely on social media during the latest wave of xenophobic violence targeting foreign nationals in the country. The Ghanaian Foreign Ministry said earlier this month that it was evacuating citizens from South Africa as a result. Some 800 Ghanaians were to be evacuated starting Thursday, but the process was delayed because of the large number of evacuees and legal clearance procedures required by South Africa. It said that Ghanaian and South African authorities had agreed to accelerate the process. Only one Ghanaian showed up at South Africa's OR Tambo International Airport. The Ghana government has across Africa about xenophobia, migration, and the gap between Pan-African rhetoric and realities facing African migrants on the continent. China said it is supporting Cuba and urged the United States to stop brandishing the judicial stick against the country after Washington indicted the Caribbean islands' former leader Raul Castro on murder charges. Castro is the younger brother of Fidel Castro, the late influential U.S. nemesis who led Cuba's 1959 communist revolution. The charges against him stem from the downing of 2 civilian planes manned by anti-Castro pilots in 1996, which resulted in 4 deaths. Raul Castro was also charged with conspiracy to kill Americans and destruction of aircraft. Trump hailed the indictment on Wednesday as a very big moment, but played down prospects of moving on Cuba, whose economy has been in a deepening crisis for months, driven by a U.S. oil blockade. And now to business news. Electricity distribution companies installed a total of 241,590 meters across Nigeria in the first 2 months of 2026, as efforts continue to close the country's persistent metering gap and reduce estimated billing. Data from the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission showed that 119,792 customers were metered in January, while 121,798 received meters in February, pushing the total number of metered customers to 7,208,174. Despite the installations, the national metering rate recorded only a marginal increase, rising from 57.93% in January to 58.57% in February, leaving over the 5 million while Abuja Disco stood at 79.37%. Hakot Disco recorded 66.36%, while Ibadan Disco, with the largest customer base, remained at 52.23%, indicating that nearly half of its 2.48 million customers are still unmetered. In the north, Jos, Kaduna, Kano, and Yola Discos continue to record the lowest metering rates, with Kano Disco barely improving to 35.37% despite its large customer base. NERC noted that more than 12.3 million customers are currently active on the grid, with about 4 in every 10 still relying on estimated billing. Stakeholders continue to cite financing constraints, foreign exchange pressures, and supply challenges as key obstacles to achieving full metering nationwide. The state government has commenced the disbursement of the 2025 scholarship awards to children of deceased civil servants and students living with disabilities across the state. The Delta State Bursary and Scholarship Board, in a statement signed by its Executive Secretary, Dr. Godfrey Enitan, said the exercise followed the approval of Governor Sheriff Oborevwori, which began on May 19 and would end on Friday, May 29. The board advised beneficiaries seeking clarification to contact Patricia Ole on 0811 181 2898, 0811 181 2898 for inquiries relating to children of deceased civil servants, while inquiries concerning students with disabilities are to be directed to Chinedu Uwabufu on 0806 477 5373, 0806 477 5373. The statement said the scholarship scheme was aimed at supporting beneficiaries in their academic pursuits as part of the state government's commitment to inclusive education and social welfare, while urging all beneficiaries to access their payment within the stipulated period. The 2026 Cognitive and Placement Examination for primary school pupils will hold tomorrow across designated centers in the state. A government statement signed by the Director of Public Communication and Functioning Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Information, Mrs. Stella Macaulay, has directed all affected candidates to be seated at their various examination centers by 7:30 a.m. The statement advised parents, pupils, and other stakeholders to ensure strict compliance with the examination guidelines. It warned against all forms of examination malpractice by pupils, supervisors, and invigilators, stressing that anyone caught engaging in illegal activities during the examination would face strict sanctions. The government reaffirmed its commitment to a transparent, credible, and hitch-free examination process across the state at all times. And now to sports news. Rangers and Rivers United will renew their supremacy battle in the round of 32 of the President Federation Cup. The two clubs are currently battling for the Nigeria Premier Football League NPFL title. Rangers currently sit at the top of the standings with 62 points, while second-placed Rivers United have 61 points. The winner of the title will be decided on Sunday, with Rangers traveling to Lagos to face Ikorodu City, while Rivers United will entertain Katsina United at the Adokie Stadium, Port Harcourt. Another interesting matchup in the President Federation Cup round of 32 is the clash between relegated NPFL clubs Bayelsa United and Wiki Tourists. The winner of the competition will represent Nigeria in the CAF Confederation Cup next season. World Football Governing Body FIFA has announced that this year's World Cup will become the first tournament edition to provide live sign language interpretation for every match to improve accessibility for fans with disabilities. FIFA said the service would give deaf and hard of hearing supporters a more inclusive viewing experience by translating match commentary, crowd reactions, and stadium atmosphere. It added that fans would access the feature through the official World Cup application. Matches in the United States and Canada will feature American Sign Language ASL, while games in Mexico will use Mexican Sign Language LSM as part of FIFA's commitment to inclusion in football. Now, our thought for the day. Believe in yourself and you will achieve great things. Before we go, let's take a look at some of our major stories. Governor Sheriff Oborevwori has urged members of the All Progressive Congress APC in the state to mobilize massively for President Bola Tinubu in tomorrow's presidential primary election. Governor Oborevwori gave the charge when he paid a visit to the APC founding leader in Delta State, Olusegun Otega Emero, at Ereni, Ughelli North local government area. A federal high court in Abuja has nullified the timeline issued by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, for the conduct of party primaries and nomination of candidates ahead of the 2027 general elections. Delivering judgment, Justice Mohammed Umar held that INEC's timetable was inconsistent with provisions of the Electoral Act 2026, particularly sections relating to the submission, withdrawal, and substitution of candidates. The state government has commenced the disbursement of the 2025 scholarship awards to children of deceased civil servants and students living with disabilities across the state. The Delta State Bursary and Scholarship Board, in a statement signed by its Executive Secretary, Dr. Godfrey Enita, said the exercise followed the approval of Governor Sheriff Oborevwori, which began on May 19 and would end on Friday, May 29. And abroad, Ghana said it has delayed the evacuation of more than 800 of its citizens from South Africa after a viral video showing the alleged assault of a Ghanaian man triggered outrage. The footage showing the attack on Emmanuel Asamoah, a Ghanaian living in South Africa, circulated widely on social media during the latest wave of xenophobic violence targeting foreign nationals in the country. That ends Delta TV main news. You can also follow our news online on Facebook and YouTube at Delta Broadcasting Service Asaba, or visit our website at www.dbsasaba.com. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I am Blessing Usiagwada, wishing you a peaceful night. Goodbye for now.